This video is to demonstrate exercise 1 in AEDD 170, the parametric modeling class, and this is going to be demonstrated using SolidWorks. This is Dan Abbott, the instructor. What I want you to do in this exercise, and this is an ungraded exercise, is to complete this model starting 3 times, once with the top view, once with the front view, once with the right side view, because they present different kinds of problems and different kinds of approaches. What I'm going to do in this video is go through this 3 times. I'll start with the top view, and when I get done with the top view, I'll do the model, and then I'll go down and do the model again starting with the front view, then I'll do the model again starting with the right side view. Now I'm going to give you some specific instructions on how to deal with symmetry that I absolutely want you to follow. But as far as the individual steps go, they don't have to be in the same sequence that I use necessarily. What you can do is go ahead and understand the approach and create these models in such a way that you have design intent built in. But it doesn't matter if you are doing your model in exactly the same steps that I'm doing my model in. So it doesn't have to be as specific as that. But I am going to give you at least a demonstration of how to approach it 2 different ways. So let's start with that top view. First I'm going to shift to SolidWorks. I'm going to go to the File pull down, select the New button. I'm doing a new part, so I'm going to pick Part, and then I'm going to pick OK. New part opens up. I'm going to go to the right hand side down in what's called the status bar. I'm going to select next to the word custom in my case. Yours might look a little different depending on how your computer was set up. And I'm going to change units from millimeters, grams, and seconds to inches, pounds, and seconds, because that's what I need in order for this part to be made. Now I'm going to go up to the sketch function. There's a tab up here, and we're going to use the sketch tab and the features tab, and I'm going to select the sketch button. When I select the sketch button, SolidWorks tells me to select a plane because I need to sketch on a flat surface. There are 3 flat surfaces by default in every part: a top plane, a front plane, and a right side plane. For this first one, I'll start by selecting the top plane, and I'll draw the top view on that plane. So I pick the plane. SolidWorks rotates my view so I'm looking straight at it. I can change that by using this drop down that shows all the different views, and if I wanted to look at this from some other view rather than the top, I could change that, including isometric. But I like working directly on the view, with a view that's directly at the plane that I'm working on, so I'm going to leave it. Because this part has symmetry in it in the top, that symmetry line shows that right here, what I want to do is just sketch half of this, but I'm not going to put the notch in, because what I really want to do is to start by creating this flat base on the bottom. Since the notch goes all the way to the top, there's no point in putting it into the base model. I'm going to be cutting that out later on. So I'm going to start by drawing in a symmetry line, and in SolidWorks that's known as a center line. And then I'm going to sketch from here up to that corner, over to here, down to that point, down here, and then bring a line back, and I'm going to put a circle in. So first I go up to the command manager for sketching, which is now shown in blue. Features have tools that are shown in yellow and green. So I'm starting with a sketch. There's the line command. Arrow beside it gives me another choice. I'm going to select center line, and once I pick center line, I'm just going to line up my cursor with the origin. Select with my left button, press it and let it go, drag my line through the origin, press it and let it go, press the escape key, and the reason that line is black is because it is coincident with the origin, which is what that little green symbol means. It is also horizontal, which is what that green symbol means. These symbols are indications of relations that are geometric. So the coincident relation means that it goes through the origin. The horizontal relation means it is horizontal. Therefore, this is a fully defined center line. The ends aren't fully defined, but a center line is a construction line, so it doesn't really matter if you fully define the ends. I'm just going to leave those ends so they go out beyond the part. Now, if I want to pan, I need to hold the control key down, press the middle wheel on the mouse, and then pan my object. If I don't press the control key down, it rotates my view in 3D. What I'm going to do is go up to the line command again, but instead of picking a center line, I'm going to pick a regular line. I'm going to start drawing on the origin because I want that symmetry to be maintained. I'm going to draw half the part, so I'm going to go up approximately half the width of the part. The part is 2.3, so I'm going to go up about 1.1. I'm not going to try to get a perfect location for 1.15. I just want to get close. So left click, I'm going to move over a little bit, about 2 inches. Then I'm going to go down, so I've got the angle I'm going to go down a little more to where that slot would be. I'll bring the side of the slot back like that, and I'll press escape. That gives me the basic shape of the part that I'm drawing. I'm going to zoom in on it now. I'm going to draw a circle. I was that line, I'm now at circle. And there are two ways to draw circles. The center method or perimeter method. I'm going to use the center method. Track off the end of the line. Select on that center line so that the center of the circle will be coincident with the center line, and that yellow glyph, that yellow image that has a little green dot on it is the coincident relationship, and it's yellow to tell me that that's what I'm about to get. And the vertical line, it tells me I'm about to have something that is vertically directly below that point that I just tracked off of. Left click once, go back up, snap to the end of the line, left click again, and now I have a coincident relationship between the circle and that line, a coincident relationship between the center and the center line, so I know the circle is going to be right in the center. Now I'm ready to mirror these straight lines down below the center line. To do that, I go up to the Command Manager, select Mirror Entities, select all my entities with a window, go to the left where I've got an option for adding entities. I have everything I need because I'm not mirroring that circle because the circle's already down there. Go down here to Mirror About, select the center line, everything goes down below, pick the green button. Now I have the basic geometry in place. I need a closed shape. That means that that circle that comes out like that has to be eliminated. To do that, I'm going to use the SolidWorks trim function. Go up to the Command Manager, pick Trim. Over on the left, it gives you alternative choices for how to trim. Power Trim is going to work most of the time. That's by default the one that's selected. If it isn't selected, select it. Left click and hold the button down. Drag the mouse to go through something. Let go of the left button. Left click to hold the button down. Drag through. Let go of the button. Now I've got my basic shape. I can get out of the trim command and start adding dimensions. The overall length of this part, 4.12. The distance from that corner to this corner, 1.9. The distance from here to here, 0.3. Distance from here to here is 0.45, 0.46. So I'm typing that in. The overall width of the part, the distance from that line to this line, should be 2.3. And the location of that circle right there, from the center out to this edge right here, should be 1.12. I press enter and I get that. Now everything on this part is now defined with the exception of that arc, and you know that because all these lines are black. That arc is blue. Down at the status bar, it tells me that my part is underdefined, and the reason it's underdefined is I drew the circle. It was coincident with the endpoint of that, but I never made the circle tangent to that line. In order for this to be fully defined, that circle has to be tangent to that line. To add relations, I have two choices. I can come up to Display, Delete Relations, pick the arrow and then go down to Add Relations, or I can hold the Control key down, select the arc, select the line, and when I do, I get a little window right here with a Make Tangent option. I can do the same thing over here in the left where the feature tree normally goes. Either way, when I've done it, it adds a tangent relationship. I get out of Properties, and I now have a fully defined sketch. That means I can't add any other dimensions. If I try to dimension it again, it's going to tell me you can't add a dimension. It'll be over-dimensioned if you do. Now I'm going to go over to the Features tab because my sketch is done. Now I'm going to use that sketch to create a feature. There's only two kinds of features I can create at this point, an extruded or a revolved feature. This is not a revolved part because it's not circular. It's an extruded part. So I'm going to extrude. And once I go to extrude, put my Command Manager back. When I extrude, which I did by the way by double clicking on the top, when I extrude, it automatically goes into an ISO view to show me what's going on. I can do a blind extrusion, which in this case is exactly what I want, and I'm going to put the thickness of the part, which is at 0.76. I'm going to put the thickness of the part right here, 0.76. I press enter. Now I have the base of the part completed and I can add the next component. To add the next component, I'm going to hold the middle wheel on my mouse down and just swing it around so I can see where I'm drawing, because I want to sketch on that surface. Now I'm back in the sketch tab. Once again I'm saying sketch. It tells me what to do. It says select a plane or a planar face. I select this. I want to look straight at it, so I change my view by selecting the orthographic left view. Looks like this. Once again I'm putting a center line in place. I want it to go through the origin. I missed the origin. I know that because the line is blue. I can move it back and forth. If I drop it on top of the origin, it still doesn't turn blue. So what I need to do is hold the control key down, pick the origin, pick the line, and make them coincident. Now, if I'd been a little more careful in how I placed it, it would have been possible for me to make that coincident relationship automatically. Now it's still blue. If it's still blue, it tells me that it's not fully defined. And to find out why, what I'm going to do is to select the line and try to move it around. If I take the endpoint and move it around, you can see that when I created it, it also did not make it vertical automatically. Normally does. In this case it didn't, because I drew it slightly off of vertical. So can I add a relation to one line? Yes. I pick the line, go over to vertical. Now when I come out of this, that line is black because it's in the right place. Now again, if I had been a little more careful, I would have taken the center line, tracked off of the origin, left clicked, dragged down through the origin instead of over here, left click. Now it's automatically black because both of those relations were added automatically. I'll start sketching. I need a closed shape, but what I want to do is to start here, left click and let it go, left click and let it go, left click and let it go, and I'm going to stop so it's lined up on that center line. I'm pulling the center line up now just because I want to make sure that it goes up through the part. I'm going to now mirror those entities just like I did on the others. Select Mirror About over in the Properties Manager. Pick that center line, select OK, add my dimensions. The overall height of the part, 1.5. The angle between those two lines, I'm going to pick the two lines themselves, 30 degrees. The distance from that point to this point, from that point to this point, 0.4. So now that's a fully defined shape. You notice it's a closed shape. I had to add the edge on the bottom in order for this to work right. Now that I'm done, I'll go over here to Features, do an extruded boss. Comes around like that, it's going in the wrong direction. To change direction, I go over here to the Properties pane again, pick the Reverse Direction button, type in the thickness, which is 0.94, enter. Part is almost done. Now to completely finish this part, I want to do a cut, starting with a feature I'm going to put on the bottom. I don't want to draw this anywhere else. I can't draw it on that angled surface because the angled surface is not parallel to the shape that I'm creating. So I go to Sketch, Sketch, select the bottom. This time I'm using a rectangle and I want to use the corner rectangle. So I go from here to here, add my dimensions. The depth of this is 0.4. The width is 0.26. That's fully defined. I'm just doing one of these. Go back to Features, and now instead of an extruded boss, I want an extruded cut. In order to make sure that I always have a cut that goes all the way through the part, I'm not going to use blind and give it a dimension. I am instead going to use up to surface and say do that cut until it hits that surface. Now I've only got one feature here because I only did a sketch for one feature. But now what I need to do is to mirror that feature to the other side. To mirror that feature to the other side, I go to the Command Manager at the top. This is now the Features Command Manager, not the Sketch Command Manager. The Sketch mirror function does nothing for me. It's the Features mirror function that I need to use, and that's right here. Features, unlike sketches, require planes rather than lines as the mirror location because it's a 3D model. So in order to find the plane, I'm going to go into this inside area where that feature tree was put because of the properties panel. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to select the front plane, which goes right down the middle because of the way I sketched this part. Then down here I'm going to select the cut, pick the green button, and now I have a part that's fully complete. Change the material to plain carbon steel. Go to the Evaluate tab, pick Mass Properties, and the mass properties I get should equal the mass properties that I generated on that sheet that I gave you. So I look to see if that's true, and it says my mass is 1.98 pounds, but the sheet that I gave you shows the mass as 1.96 pounds and the volume is 6.96. Go back to SolidWorks, and here it's showing the volume of 7.01. That tells me I made a mistake. That's why I gave you the mass properties. So now I have to go back and see where that mistake might be. So I'm assuming it's a relatively small mistake. If I go over and right click on a sketch and then pick the edit button, I can look at those numbers. Those numbers all look right to me. So I just enter, return. I get on to the next sketch, right click and edit that sketch and look at those numbers. And when I look at those numbers, I discover that I typed a 0.4 here, but the actual value is 0.44. Double click on the dimension, type 0.44 to fix it. Click the little green check mark. I come back out and I've just now modified that part. Go back over here to Evaluate. Go to Mass Properties. Now it's 1.96, 6.96 cubic inches. Now I'm confident that I have that part correctly created. I can turn it in and I'm done. Now I'm going to create a separate video for doing this part from the front view and another video for doing this part from the right side view. I just changed my mind. I'm going to do them all in this video. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to throw this away. I'm going to start a new part. This new part's going to be a part file. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go down to the units, and the units are going to change to inches. I'm going to go over to the sketch function, and in this case I'm going to start in the front view. I'm going to pick that line right there. I'm going to hover over this origin and go up. I want to go up about 1.5. Come down here, come out about 4.2, go up, come over, go up, come over. Now I'm going to add my dimensions. Smart dimension overall length is 4.12. Smart dimension of that width right there is 0.96. No, it's 0.94. 0.94. The overall height of this part, 1.5. The overall, the distance from here to here is 0.76. Now I've got a fully defined sketch. I'm going to go back over to my features, and my features are going to be an extruded boss. Instead of blind, I'm going to change to mid-plane because I want this to be a symmetrical part. That means I want to make sure that as I make this larger, it goes in both directions. I'm going to type in the overall width of 2.3, pick the green check. Now it gives me the basic L-shaped piece. What I have to do now is to cut some things away. So I'm going to put some things in here to cut away. I'm going to start with the slot. I'm going to draw on the bottom because I know the bottom's not going to change. So I'm going to go to Sketch, Sketch on the bottom. I'm going to look directly at this part from the bottom. I'll draw a center line that goes through because once again I want to have symmetry built in here, and I'm going to use a center line to maintain that. Now when I put my circle in for that slot, I can go directly on top of that construction line, and I know that it's got a coincident relationship. I'm going to draw a line that goes from the quadrant over to the end. I'm going to have it come down here so that it tracks off the quadrant, come back to the quadrant, do a trim, trim that out, trim this out, add my smart dimension. The width of the slot from here to here is 0.76. No, it isn't. It's 0.78. The distance back from one end, from here to here, 1.12. That's now a fully defined sketch for that slot. I'm going to now extrude cut up through the part. Once again, I'm not doing it blind. I'm going up to surface, make that surface my cut. Now I've got that piece done. Now I've got three other features I need to cut out of this. I'm going to start with the bottom, and when I do the bottom, I'm going to put a sketch. No, I'm not starting with the bottom. I'm going to start with that angled surface. So I'm going to do this from the back. I'm going to do a sketch on the back surface of this. I'm going to start with a line, and my sketch is going to start on this edge, go to that corner, go over along that edge, and then come back to the beginning. If I look at it from the left, it's a little easier to see. My dimension now is going to be that line to this line is going to be 30 degrees. The distance from that point down to this point, the distance from that point to this point, okay, I'm just canceling out of this, going back to my smart dimension. From here to here, that distance is 0.44. Now that's fully defined because I have the angle and I've got the 0.44. I'm going to go over here to features, do an extruded cut. When I do the extruded cut, I'm going to go up to surface. The surface I'm going to is going to be that surface right there. Looks like that. Now that's all I'm going to do for now, because I'm now going to add the corner cut, and then I'm going to add the other cut, and then I'm going to mirror all three of them at the same time. So I'll do a sketch on the bottom. I'm going to do a rectangle. The rectangle is going to start on the corner and go like this. Now I'm going to put my smart dimension in. That's going to be 0.4. This is going to be 0.26. Now I'm going to do another extruded cut. My extruded cut in this case is going to go up to surface. The surface I'm going to go to is that angle surface right there. I've got that in place. I'm going to do one more sketch on the bottom. That sketch on the bottom is going to look like this. I'll look right at the bottom so it's a little easier to tell what's going on. I'll start with a line. I'll start here, come to here, come back to there, and then up here. I've got that little wedge that I'm going to cut out with that triangle. Put my dimensions on here. That distance from here to here is 0.3. The distance from here to here is 1.9. That's fully defined now because that's all I need to know. I go back over to features, another extruded cut, roll this around where I can see it. Once again, I'm going to go up to surface. The surface I'm going to go to this time is going to be that one. Now I've got those features. All I need to do now is to mirror them, and I'm now going to mirror them with the command manager for features. So I go to mirror. My mirror line should be my front plane, goes right down the middle. Features to mirror are going to be that cut, and that cut. So I've got three features to mirror. Pick the green button. That looks like this. Add as a material, plain carbon steel. Go to evaluate, look at the mass properties, 1.96, 6.96. So that's correct. Now I'm going to throw this one away. I'm going to do it one more time. This time when I do it, same thing with the part. I'm going to do it from the right side view. The right side view is a symmetrical view, so I go to Sketch, Sketch, select the right. It orients it for me. I'm going to use a center line to begin with. You notice every single time I have symmetry in the sketch, I use a center line. I'm going to start at the origin, go to the left approximately half the distance, but I notice I'm drawing in millimeters right now, so I'm going to hit the cancel button. I'm going to get out of my sketch, go down to custom and change to inches, and then I'm going to start my sketch over again. When I do the sketch over again on the right plane, I'll start with a center line the way I did before, but now I'm drawing in inches, so it won't give me a problem later on, which believe me it would have. So I'm going to come over here. The overall width is 2.3, so approximately 1.15. Go up more or less where I want that to go. Come into my angle, come over here like that, and that's going to be my symmetrical part, so I'm drawing half of it. I can mirror all those entities about that line right there. Now I can put my dimensions in. The overall width of the part, 2.3. The overall height of the part, 1.5. The angle from here to here, 30 degrees. The distance from that point to that point, 0.44. I've fully defined sketch right now. I can go back over and I'm going to do an extruded boss or base. This is going to be blind because it's coming straight out from where I want the origin to be. 0.94 is the thickness of that part, so I'm coming out that far. And the reason I don't come out all the way is because the rest of this is going to be showing, the rest of this I'm going to add to it instead. So I'm starting with that part right there. I still have to go back in after it and add those little notches. Now my next sketch is going to be on the top view. And I'm going to do the sketch on the top view so that I can get as much as I can for that next piece in one place. It's symmetrical, so I'm starting with a center line again. It goes through the origin. Go back to my line command. I'm going to start in this corner. I'm going to come out. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come back, just like I really did before. Mirror those lines right there around my center line. It comes down below. Go ahead and add in my circle. Circle is going to come right down from here and go to there. I may as well make this tangent right now, and I may as well make it tangent down below right now, because I know I'm going to need to do that later on. I'll use the trim, get rid of this, get rid of that. Now what I need to do is add some dimensions. Overall length of the part from here to here, 4.12. The distance from here to here, I didn't mean to change that. The overall length of the part from here to here, 4.12. Even though it says 4.12, I'm still typing it in. The distance from here to there, 1.9. Distance from here to here. It's because I picked not the end point, but something else. Distance from here to there. It's going to be 0.3. The width, 0.76. The distance back from here to the end, 1.12. I have a fully defined sketch now, so I can now extrude that up. When I do, it's an extruded boss. I'm going to give it the thickness of the base, which is 0.76. I just realized when I typed 0.76 that I actually think I made a mistake. But I made another mistake first, and I'm using this mistake to show you what happens if you don't close the object that you're creating. You notice how that came up and it just did what's called a thin extrude. So I don't want a thin extrude, which means I'm going to go and delete that. I'm going to go back to my sketch now, and I'm going to do the sketch correctly because I have to close the sketch by coming across here like that. Now that dimension I realized should have been 0.78, so I'm going to change that right now. Come out of the sketch, right click, go back into the sketch, go to the features, extruded boss, and this is going to be a height of 0.76. Now it gives me what I want because I have a closed surface. The only thing I need to do now is to put those corners in the back, and that again I'd sketch on the bottom. I'd use a rectangle. I'd drag that down here, smart dimension, put the depth 0.26. You notice, by the way, it said 0.26 when I did it, but it wasn't really exactly 0.26. So you've got to always type in what you want. 0.4 on this one, extruded cut. Once again, that's going to go up to surface. That's the surface right there. Now that I've got that, one last thing, I'm now going to mirror around the front plane still. My last cut, put that in place. Look at this isometrically. Go to evaluate. Oh, not yet. Right click on materials, make it plain carbon steel. Mass properties 1.96, 6.96. I'm pretty content with that as well. So that's my little less than 30-minute description of how to approach drawing a part like that or creating a part like that using those various methods. You determine which of those you think is the most effective. In fact, every single one of these models is exactly the same model when you're done. The order in which things were done, that's all that changes. If, by the way, you wanted to back up to see how you made the model, you can slide this little thing back by using little fingers. If you move over to the left and move your mouse until that arrow changes to fingers, you bring it all the way up like that, you got nothing. How'd I start? With this, then I had that, then I had this, then I mirrored it over. So that's how you can determine. That's good. I'm going to stop this one now, and I will make a video of it and stick it in the